So today we can expect an enhanced threat across this portion of Oklahoma, including down to this portion of Texas. Now, our big factors today we're going to have to look at here in a minute, but a few key features of this topography. We do have the Red River running down through here, basically cutting this in two. So we are going to see a split in supercell lines that's going to occur. There's going to be a squall line occurring, but a few of the big things we're going to look at is how temperatures are affecting these and what is all guiding this, and then what to expect within this. So looking down real quick, we're going to read through this, and I'm going to point out some very key portions. But severe storms will be likely today across parts of the southern plains northeastward into the southwest Kansas and the Ozarks. An enhanced threat for tornadoes, very large hail, and wind damage is expected from North Texas into southern and eastern Oklahoma. So just from that statement, the difference from what we've seen recently is the fact that they said enhanced threat for tornadoes. So this isn't your normal listing of this. Normally they do hail, wind, or they do wind, hail, either of those, and then tornadoes last. But they are saying an enhanced threat for tornadoes. So it's not even like, they're not even saying that it's going to be a small chance there are going to be tornadoes today. So looking through all of this and what to expect overall, there's going to be some strong instability today, and they are saying that the RAP forecasts are favorable wind profile for supercells, and so they are expecting some supercells. And so they are saying that a couple of strong, let me underline this, a couple of strong tornadoes, let me get my things up here, a couple of strong tornadoes may occur with the more dominant supercells. So dominant supercells are going to have the tornado threat with them. So we have to look at that with our supercells and point out which ones are looking like the dominant ones as of this morning. The severe threat is expected to extend eastward into northern Arkansas during the evening, where large hail and wind damage will be possible. Further to the north in western Missouri and eastern Kansas, weaker instability should keep any severe threat more isolated. An isolated severe threat is also expected in west central Texas, where storms are expected to be very widely spaced. So looking back up here, definitely in this enhanced area is going to be our severe risk, and I'd say we could probably include anything that is even east and west of this to the marginal line to the west, and then it's probably to the Arkansas border to the east is where we can expect the most dangerous storms as of right now. So we'll show you your wind, obviously, and not super high up on the wind field today. 15%, we have seen higher at 30. That is probably going to be upgraded here within the next few hours. But our hail threat is where it's at. We do see that 30% down here, and then we do see that significant hatched, and that is where that is on that western portion of that. So today on the enhanced threat, if you live on the northwestern portion, if you're going to cut that in half lengthwise, northwestern portions of this system will have the most potential for hail. Now, that's not saying that any storm outside of it will not have hail, but the biggest chance is on the northwest side of that. So if you live on the Oklahoma City side of it, I would pay attention to that. So finally, our tornado threat. And this is where we are seeing some exciting stuff right now. We see that 10% in there. We've seen tornadoes recently in that 5%, especially in the plains. Is that brown, that's 5%, green is 2%. But excitement occurs when you see it 10% because that means there is confidence in this model. But even better, we see significant. Now, good things about this is in a more rural area of Oklahoma. It's not Oklahoma City, it's not Tulsa. We're not seeing it down here in this area where we see clumps of little cities. We are seeing the same area, however, be affected that we saw about a month and a half ago with the McDill tornadoes, where we see 4 supercells stacked. That is not a good thing, but it is interesting that we are seeing that significant, that hatched, that waffle-looking design. And so we'll keep this in mind, that right in here is going to be where it's all at. So it's really when you look at it, this is the enhanced, is that brown in here. That's what the enhanced is. If we look closer, it's a little bit more on the Oklahoma side and a little bit to the southern side of it. So really, it's the same distance in as it is here, and then here. It's a little bit longer over here. So this is centered pretty much over just northeast of the Red River. So if you follow that highway, it goes up from Oklahoma City, clear down into Texas. If you go up and then to the right a little bit, you're right into the core of it. So that is important information to know if you are traveling on that. I'm not going to make a guess of what road that is. I can't remember right now. It might be a 40, I forget. But whatever road that is, I would watch out for travel along that north and south today, because of the fact that there's going to be these huge storms moving pretty much right along this system. So since we see the huge tornado threat in here, there is, and it's significant, we are not going to come back and highlight the areas that I think are going to be the most tornadic, because obviously they're putting significant on this. We're going to trust them with all of this, because significant tornado chances you got to pay attention to. So let's go ahead and go over to our models, and I do want to see we could check out the RAP for temperature. We could check it out for temperature, because I want to stick with kind of the same system of measurement here. And on the national view of the RAP, what we are seeing in the afternoon time, so we'll just click on 21Z. That'll put us right at 4 o'clock. We see that there are very warm temperatures in here. And so that is allowing for, temperatures almost 90 degrees down through here where we're seeing these hottest areas. So that is showing us that these storms are going to be super severe. So I want to show you composite reflectivity for today through the NAM CONUS, because I really do like the NAM CONUS with how it runs the regional looks at storms. So we still come back down, and we're going to kind of pop to the morning hours. So here in the morning hours, we have some very kind of scuddy storms off to the west of Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City is right in here, but we do have that entire system up here, and that is actually a low that is developing. It's spiraling way up here in the parts of Nebraska and the parts of Iowa, and that's where our influence is at there. But overall, we do see a really severe threat start to form with this main cell, and that's going to form even bigger when we look at about 1 p.m. We see two squall lines form. That first one with the damaging winds affecting Arkansas, and then we start to see a second one form here in southeastern Oklahoma. So then as we travel into the 4 o'clock time, we do see this entire squall line form, plus some supercells and some individual cells out over here, which could be severe, but we're looking more focused on this whole system. So as we keep going, we do see this break apart around 7 p.m., so right after dinner time, when we see a cut really in this storm. We see a squall line here, but then we see all these individual little cells forming. We see supercells forming out here, some tiny ones over central Texas, but that is our big key, is what's occurring in there. And then as we see in the 11 o'clock hour, we kind of rejoin into a gigantic system that is a massive bow with wind speeds that are outrageous. The more severe portion, once again, is that western half. So I do want to look, I think there is a local version of this potentially. Okay, there is. So this is the Oklahoma view of it. They do not have one of Texas, however. So we are going to go back to that regional look and just see what our HRRR is showing, just purely because I want to see what the same system looks like under the HRRR. So the HRRR is known for, on its hodographs, upplaying systems, and then on its other types of systems, it really downplays severe convection. So if we go to like 18Z, see, it's not including all of this storm formation that is occurring in here. It's missing stuff, as you can see. So that's why we don't rely on one storm, but you can see it is pulling up individual little cells. So that's why we don't always use this one storm system, but the storm system modeler, because see, we're seeing these huge storms. It's talking about this is the big stuff and this stuff too. But really, overall, I think if we go to like some of these models, it still shows the same thing. It shows that there's stuff forming in here. which is important to keep in mind. So if we go ahead and go back to 21, even on these weaker cell storm systems that they're showing, they are not really including as much as they could. See, these ones are showing it further to the east, and even down into this where it's non-existent. So that's why we always look and cross-compare models, because it is always important to know which ones you want to use and which ones are going to show the accurate truth on what will actually happen. So as you can see, looking at all this, it is going to be a very interesting day overall. If we pop forward to the 6Z here, we are seeing that it is going to get severe with this whole line. So that is your entire line, and so we are going to have individual cells within this popping up. They are expecting, it might not be this exact nice bow echo looking shape. It might be all broken up in places. We could see cells that look like some of this up in here that I'm pointing at right now. We could see that type of thing form along here, where it's much more of scuddy supercells that will form, and then they will be severe. So expect both damaging winds for a squall line and also supercell development. So I do want to take you now, and so here's the temperature line of that to show how we see that pocket of really warm air, and then we see the rain cooled air right behind it. But we do see all that warm hot air into the 90s, and yeah, 90s, even 93, that are going to be aiding storm development right along this line. You can even see some of that helping out right in here. So looking at wind today, I do want to see what the wind speeds are expected to be at ground level for this region throughout the day. So if we go back into the early afternoon, 40 knots, so that's about 45 mile per hour. If we look into the afternoon, we see right along the squall line, still about 45 mile per hour winds, maybe 50 at tops. And then that's where we see right around 7 p.m., right around dinner time, we see 57 knots. So that is roughly about 65 mile per hour, I believe. So we do have some heavier wind gusts coming in behind this system. Then looking into the nighttime hours, that western portion is the predominant portion of it. Heading down in, that's where we're seeing those 56, 58 knots. So that is about 67 mile per hour winds. So that's what you can expect wind-wise, is not a huge wind field out in front of this system, but much rather some downbursts and gusts in separate portions. So I do want to show you our cape for today, our most unstable cape, that is for the afternoon, to show you how much Texas influences storm development. So Texas looks a lot like this throughout the year because it is the perfect place for all of this. So we would see that squall line form right up through here. So looking at all the cape, it is going into it, since it is traveling, it's traveling in this direction. So considering we have all of this starting to swoop that direction, we are going to see huge storm development occurring right in through here. And so that's why when we look at this energy and see what's going on, we are going to look at what's occurring right in here, because that's going to be where our super severe storms are today. So as we go through, that was about lunchtime. This is a little bit in the middle of the afternoon, and as you can see, numbers up into the 5,000s. To give you a reference frame, tornadoes can occur as low as 500. We see them occur most often between probably most likely 1,500 and then obviously up. So looking at this, it is traveling into a very maxed environment through here. We see stuff even into the 6,000s in places. So it is going into huge amounts of energy. But looking at the surface level, we even have the same amount of cape filing back in behind it. So it is strengthening on this west side. So just keep looking at that. We could keep seeing these huge storms today. But I want to go back to the most unstable cape there and show you as we keep going how much the daytime heating affects this. We see less and less occur throughout the day as we see the sun go down. So we see these huge pockets of close to 650 in some places where we are seeing more storms form. So as you can see here, it's definitely that western portion that is the most severe. And, I want to go back to that 21Z because that looked like when we had the most potential in some of these areas. I want to click on just one random spot, and it's showing severe in here because it is a really capped environment right in there. But I do want to click a little bit further over here into where that tornado section is. And as you see, they are saying tornado. And something that is interesting and something we don't want to see, if you pay attention in this circle right here, see how it loops back onto itself on the line, that kidney bean shape? That is exactly what we do not want. And so that is our problem with this system. It's a rotating system, which is very indicative of supercells. You even see it through here. It just looks like a mess. So we do see that there is a potential for the probability of an EF2 plus tornado with supercell sample. It has with a 15 sigtor. Looking at this, it looks like based on the Cape, there's a 16% chance in this exact location. But based on looking at everything else, if we combine all of these and look at what the overall thing is, we have roughly a 2 in 10 chance of a tornado occurring right in that location. But if we look at another location further up here, if we go a little bit earlier, it's right on 2 p.m., and we click on an area right here that is in that tornado region, it's going to say tornado, and it's on a lower level here. It's right about 20% also, as you see right in here. Looking at all of it's 20 to 25%. And there is going to be a significant hail chance. We see that little start to turn to a kidney bean shape. So overall, that is what we were looking at for storm-wise. But this is where it gets interesting. So we want to look and remember back to that statement at the beginning that said predominant supercells will have tornadoes. So looking here, we look like that we're going to have some supercells occurring. This is an 18Z, so just put that in perspective. That is right around 1 p.m. Central Time. So looking at this, that's funny, it says -0 right here. But right here we have a 22, 23 chance. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that just to show you guys what all it's showing. And this is a particularly dangerous situation tornado. We can just see how this storm is going to be going a separate direction. So immediately we see up through here, we could see that this red line is way up here above EF2 into the EF3 maxed out category, EF4 plus. So we see that at the lowest it's down at, based on the EBWD, it's 12%. But most likely is what's going on in this red is a 34% chance. And that's not to be taken lightly. Most likely that means that this is going to be a severe situation because these numbers never get very high. So when you see that particularly dangerous situation tornado right in here, that's what we got to pay attention to, and that's what you have to watch. And that is a very dangerous supercell. So that's right in there. So if we go ahead at 21Z, we see that this entire line is going to be full of supercells, just full of them. But it looks like our most severe areas are still going to be right in here. So I'm going to keep circling the areas that we were seeing so we can see what overall we can expect, and then obviously into the overnight hours it's where this all changes, and then it would head down in here. I am curious, however, what is the overnight supercell rate looking like? Oh, okay. Yeah, so kidney bean, positive tornado, particularly dangerous tornado. That line, if you can't see it, it is right up here. It looks like it's underlining the effective layer. It is so high it is maxed out all of this. They are saying 60% chances of tornadoes in this area. So it's going to be 100% significant is what they're saying down through here. So specifically looking at this threat is not going away overnight. We normally would look and see if it is going away just after dinner time. And this system is showing the highest chance for them right in here. So let me just go ahead and go back and circle for you. We saw them here. That's a bigger circle than I wanted to draw. So there's these ones. We saw them here and here. So there's a common trend with this, that hashed area was right into the bottom of this. They covered really all of it. So then continuing and looking right about 10 p.m., we still do see these super high numbers that can occur, but most likely at that point it's moving fast enough that it won't be our biggest problem. So looking overall, looking at the supercell wise, we see that in the early afternoon time, right after lunchtime, in southern Oklahoma, down in here, you can expect it. Right in here is our most severe threat, just above the Red River, just north of it. Then we look into the later afternoon hours and right along the Red River, right in here in these two really long and wide counties where you can expect the worst of it. And as we go to around dinner time, is where you can expect it right in here, because that is going to be where our most severe weather is on that front end of the system. And then as we go overnight, we keep tracking that same system. So there is a common trend with this. We see a severe threat here, and then we see one traveling down through here. So it's the western portion of this squall line that comes through like this. So it is that western portion of it. So going back to our tornado threat, we are going to see what all they were saying, and we're going to keep watching this tornado threat. We are seeing 4.5, and this is out of I believe it goes to 8.5 up here number wise. So if we see down through here, it does go to we'll click on a 2.7 just to see, and it shows a high level of chance for tornadoes. They are saying supercells are going to be significant through here, and the SARS is saying that we are expecting a 60% chance of tornadoes with this system. So right in here, 60% chance. So definitely down there, I believe that's in that McDill area down through there, if I have that right, where we've been seeing, we saw that one I guess it was a few weeks ago into a month ago, where we saw supercells all lined up like that. So then as we go into the later afternoon hours, we start to see a little break off, where we see a chance here, but we still see that these areas are the most severe into the early and mid-afternoon hours. And then we start to see, as we go into around dinner time, really that line where it breaks extend that western portion. So if you were to draw a straight line from in the morning hours straight south, the entire day, if you keep watching that, the eastern portion will be, so this part will be severe in the morning and mid-afternoon hours, and then we will see this pattern be the most severe in the PM hours, so the late PM. So late is going to be this storm, and then mid-afternoon is what you can expect with this whole system in here, and that's all in here. So looking at all this, it is going to be a very active day overall. Most active time, probably expect it, so between 18Z and probably zeros, so tomorrow 0Z, so that is 7 p.m. Realistic time frames, I'm guessing it's going to be from lunchtime to about 9-10 p.m. somewhere in there is where I would expect it all. So definitely going back to our forecast and looking back at today and seeing what all they are predicting. Our two areas of the biggest threats, remember, were with these two wide ones in the morning hours, and then they are really expecting this line, that squall line with all those supercells down through here, to be forming. So really, if you live here anywhere, I'd say in here, I would be paying attention to what's occurring to the west and then the northeast of you, because if there is a longer track out of any of these, they are coming towards you. So overall, they were talking about that tornado threat. Looking at it, that tornado threat was, once again, it was like right in here. And I believe that they are very right with this. That is the best area of interest for us today, looking through all that. These two wide counties in Oklahoma are going to be in the morning hours anywhere in here, and then in the afternoon I would be expecting stuff in there. Obviously these can change. This is just one model run. So looking back at your tornado, which we'll leave you with, if you live anywhere in here, be weather ready today. That is our mission statement here, to make sure that you are weather ready. And it is something overall that we think is safe and that you should totally do, is be weather ready. Have a safe plan in place and know what's going on. Significant chances of tornadoes don't come around too crazy often, but it hasn't been a very active May, but but May 22nd, the May 20s are famous for their tornadoes. They are famous these 2 weeks. The second half of the month is the most famous when you look back at history for big time tornadoes. So that's what we can expect today, is crazy stuff to happen, if not some huge storms. So hopefully today is not a bust. We are going to see some big systems, and hopefully overall we don't see them in populated areas. It's great to see tornadoes out in the middle of nowhere, so that is looking like that's a lot of these areas are. So hopefully you are staying safe today and being weather ready with that. If you live anywhere in this hatched area, be prepared for tornadoes. There is a 6 in 10 chance above, about right here above that halfway line. So in the AM hours, there's a 6 in 10 chance. And then right down here, there is a 70, 80, and even a 90% chance of tornadoes. So be prepared for that. We hope to see you tomorrow for our weekend forecast.